Welcome back to the Out of the Rough podcast presented by We Know Fantasy. As always, my name is Nate with We Know Fantasy, and back in action is Jake. Jake, how are we doing today?
We're doing good. We're doing good. It's been a little bit of a hiatus for me. I was away last week. Don't think I was on the week before, but I'm back and ready to roll for the Memorial. I'm super excited. This is one of my favorites.
Yeah, last week I was joined by Parker Smith, and he gave out the winner on the DP World Tour side of things. So I didn't get the outright last week, but he did for us, so that was always good. So good going, Parker. But Jake, you were having some fun out in the desert, and we were back here talking some golf. But it's good to have you back here. And I guess before we do move forward and talk about this Memorial Tournament, where can we find you on social media?
Yep, you can find me at the Jake Friedman on Twitter. I'll post my article there, which you can find on the We Know Fantasy website. Has my DFS and outright selections and guide in there. Also, link in that article to join the Discord, completely free, coming up on 200 members. Free place to just bounce ideas for both DFS and outright, and really just any sports in general. But we do focus on golf, so if you have any interest in joining that, reminder, completely free. You could find the link in the article there.
Easy enough. You can also find it in the description of this podcast where you listen to it on an audio aspect. You can find the link there. If you're on the video form, it will not be posted on YouTube, so you have to search for it yourself. But it's easy enough to find. I usually tweet it out once a week. It's where I post my exclusive, like first round leaders. Live bets are exclusive to our Discord. And recently I've been posting my bets early before the article goes out. So that's another incentive to join the Discord. The bets there are as I place them, opposed to wait for the article to come out. So do that. You can follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at WKF Nate. Be sure to follow We Know Fantasy on all forms of social media at We Know Fantasy. Be sure to visit We Know Fantasy.com for some more fantasy sports content, fantasy baseball, basketball, football, NASCAR, golf, everything in between. We have you covered. But yeah, that should do it. Well, actually, on the We Know Fantasy website, you can find my Out of the Rough betting articles where I really go in depth each and every week for the PGA, LPGA, and the DP World Tour. I messed that all up. LPGA majors only, DP World Tour, and PGA Tour every single week. Also, on the We Know Fantasy Podcast Network, you can find the We Know Fantasy NASCAR podcast. Cody and Devin do a fantastic job each week there as well. Basically, what we do here, break down the track, the history, form, their favorite bets, everything that you need to know about fantasy NASCAR and NASCAR betting. They have you covered, and they do a very good job on their end. But enough of that. Yeah, Jake. So, did you hit anything since the last time we talked to you? Anything on either tour?
No, I skipped the DP World Tour last week. I had Sam Burns and Sahith Theegala in on the PGA Tour. I kept it small. Burns gave me a little bit of a sweat on Thursday and a little bit of Friday, but my God, did he crap the bed on the weekend. Sahith Theegala just played himself right out of it very quickly. That was very disappointing to see. But yeah, nothing from me, but I'm excited to get into Murrayfield. I think that I love this tournament so much. I'm feeling a winner coming for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Well, let's hope we have some crossover then, so we both can get a winner this week. Um, yeah, I guess since the last time we talked, I hit Nacho Oliveira on the what was it, the Pseudo Open or something like that on the DP World Tour. I don't think it was the Pseudo Open. Yeah, it was right. Yeah,
I'm not
and
sure.
I don't even know anymore. Anyways, that was a good one, but yeah, it's been a good time coming, and we're in the heart of it now. This is where the PGA Tour season really gets going. I mean, the PGA Championship was just a few weeks ago. We have the U.S. Open next week. The Memorial Elevated event. Um, the Travelers coming up in 3 weeks. That's an elevated event. Before we open the opens here, it's really just the heart of the PGA schedule right now. So now's the time to go on a run here as we have some big events and some fun ones along the way. But you mentioned it this week, Muirfield Village here for the Memorial Tournament, one of the bigger non-majors, on the PGA Tour schedule. I mean, you can kind of, you can't really put up there with the players, but maybe in a tier, you have your majors and you have the players, then you have probably an event like this one, the Memorial Muirfield Village this week. It is held to a higher standard, and of course, last year for the first year received the elevated status signature or status, and now it is moved to a signature event. Same thing, right? Limited field though this week. Uh, we both are biggest fans of that, but it is what it is, and we have to deal with it. I think it's like 72 golfers or something really small like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see what comes of it. But you know, this is this is one of those these are one of those venues, right? When you think of picturesque, pristine, perfect manicured pieces of golf, this is up there, right? You have Augusta National pretty much as your one, and Muirfield Village, maybe your two. This is a very, very just a work of art, really, is what it is. Jack Nicklaus is like crowning jewel of his post-playing career. Jack's Place, as it's known fondly to most. It is just a great venue, a great tournament going along the way. Of course, a very difficult track along the way as well. This is no birdie fest. It's going to be another grinded out, very penal rough. All that we'll get to that here shortly, but date back to 1976 here. It's just one of those events that we look forward to each and every year. You mentioned there in your introduction as well, but I mentioned it. The field, it's the same pretty much field we see each and every time we have a signature event. Scotty Scheffler, world number one. Rory McIlroy's here. Xander Schauffele, fresh off his first major victory, is his first appearance back. Viktor Hovland got his first PGA Tour victory here last season after making a run at the Oak Hill at the PGA. Came here, won here over Denny McCarthy, of all people, in a playoff. But yeah, that just goes to show what type of golfer can compete here. Denny McCarthy is a lights out putter with a strong approach game. Basically, what can get you around Jack's Place here. Other former winners in this week's field, you have Billy Horschel in 2022. Patrick Cantlay knows his way around this golf course, 2019, 2021. Victor, you have Hideki Matsuyama in 2014, Matt Kuchar in 2013, and Justin Rose in 2010. So Muirfield Village is a par 72 at 7,571 yards, featuring 68 sand bunkers and having water in play on 13 of those holes. It is known for its long and penal rough. I mentioned that. Finding the fairway is absolutely crucial here. Along with that, there's some tight, fast, small bent grass greens. They're pretty much impossible to hold if you're playing from the rough, so that adds the incentive of finding the fairway. Actually, this course has I think it is the most penal of roughs on the PGA Tour, the regular rotation. Of course, we're not going to count majors into this. And then in terms of that, it's like the lowest green regulation percentage when playing from the rough. All of this, man, just finding the fairway is so crucial this week because of this penal rough. And if you're in the rough, you're pretty much scrambling to save par more than anything, because a birdie chance is very, very, unlikely, I guess I could say, out of the rough this week. So, yeah, plays more to of a major field than anything because, again, that rough really does things to it. Along with the known rough, you have, some unique aspects such as all par, 4 par 5s. At this course, the 4 par 5s are the only holes on this entire course that play to an average under par. So attacking the par 5s is absolutely crucial this week. The greenside sand traps annually result in the longest proximity to the hole lengths on any course in the regular PGA Tour rotation. So again, very difficult bunkers. You have to be well versed around the green, well versed out of the sand this week. And I want to say it's crucial you have a super strong putter. It's not a golf course that demands like a lights out putter to win here because of the difficulty to not only hold these greens around the green, everything. Again, any golf tournament is going to require a competent putter to win, right? You're not going to lose 6-7 strokes on the green and win, but it's not one where you have to putt to 7-8 gain to win this golf tournament because of the emphasis on, the second shot approaches, and all of that really is what's crucial here. But the other thing to note is here, after the 2020 plan of this event, there was a massive renovation that went into it before the tour returned in 2021. Some of the biggest things: a full 100 yard was added to the course, pushing the mark to 7.5, 7.1, and brand new green complexes were added along the way as well. And for the first time in quite some time, the weather looks on our side this week. I think the highest chance of precipitation this week is just 20%. The winds do seem to be up, though. I mean, we have 16, 15, 12, 9-mile-per-hour winds this week across all 4 days. But beyond that, 79 to 71 degrees, no rain. Should be a good one this week. But anything else about the course, event, field, anything like that you want to mention before you move forward here, Jake?
No, I think you covered it well. I obviously graduated from Ohio State, so this tournament's played like 25 minutes from campus. Didn't have the opportunity to go when I was there, but it's definitely a tournament I want to get to someday because, like we said, it's one of the most beautiful courses that they play on tour, and it's a super, super big challenge. I'm looking probably at a single-digit under par winner this week. I think it's crept into double digits a couple of times in recent history, but look for your guys to struggle. It's not one of those courses that you hope he has, your guys have more holes to play. It's one of those that it's like, just get my guy off the course and hope that his score holds up in the locker room.
Yeah, what was it, -9 last year with the playoff? So
Yep.
annually single digits under par. It's a very difficult track. So we'll see what the guys the PGA Tour can do this week here. So moving on to our DFS suggestions. Each and every week we offer a golfer pretty much per 5 monetary categories on DraftKings scoring pricing. That's $10,000 plus, the 9s, 8s, 7s, and 1,600 below. Limited field, no 5,900 below this week. So yeah, just 5 price ranges this week. We have the $10,000 plus, just 4 guys to pick from. Which one you're picking this week, Jake?
Yep. I'm going with this guy. I hope is the lowest owned. I think he's going to be the second lowest owned, though, in all reality. I'm going with Rory McIlroy at 11-1. I think that Scotty and Xander are going to eat up a ton of ownership. Obviously, rightly so. These guys are, 1 and 2 in tee to green, and it's just dependent on the putter for these guys on how well they play. But for me, I'm going with Rory McIlroy. 2 wins in his last 4 starts, has a bunch of great finishes here. In his last 4 starts on the PGA Tour, 2 wins, a T12 and a T4. And in 12 starts at Murrayfield Village, he has 5 top 10 finishes. Where does Rory play the best? It's, bomb and gouge. I know that it's not necessarily like Bomber's Paradise, but super long off the tee, a lead on approach, great short game. If the driving accuracy cooperates and Rory finds himself in the fairway enough times, I really think that he can take it down this week and win.
Yeah, I mean, there's no fault to that. I mean, look at his last outings: Wells Fargo Championship victor, the Zurich Classic victor. Didn't put up a decent fight at the PGA, and then last week at the RBC wasn't. We expected him to run away with the event, right? But still was a T12 or something like that, a rather difficult course as well.
I think he had a
But
4th.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, T4. That's right. Yeah, he made a run there on Sunday. But
Yep.
yeah, what's there to say about Rory? Right, he's world number 2 for a reason. He's winning golf tournaments again. He's going to be there, and you mentioned it. He, in about a bomb and gouge technique here at Muirfield may not be the on paper best way to go about it, but again, it's Rory McIlroy. He's going to do what he wants. He's going to attack golf courses in unique ways and have success doing so. So yeah, I mean, again, with the ownership too at 12-1, can't fault you there. And that was my argument here, because typically recently we've been penciling Scotty Scheffler no matter what the price is, simply because it's Scotty Scheffler and how he's playing. He's come back to earth slightly, right? I mean, the PGA Championship, the Charles Schwab, all of that kind of made him look a little more human than he, has appeared recently. And with that, I mean, we have a better price on DFS because of that. He's not at the 13-3, 13-4 number we've been playing him at. So he's down to about 12-5. So his ownership's going to be, 50% probably, 40 at least, right? He's going to be played heavily. So with that, I went to Xander Schauffele. I know his ownership's going to be really high as well because of, fresh off a major championship, and he's Xander Schauffele. He's a fan favorite, and he's arguably the second best golfer in the world right now, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, there's a reason, right? Xander Schauffele is phenomenal this season. I mean, outside of everything he does on the statistics side of things with the approach and, par 5s, he's the second best guy on tour in scrambling bogey avoidance. He doesn't really give up strokes. I mean, everything you want this week, Xander Schauffele checks every single box and then some. But I mean, on top of that, on the form, outside of a rain-shorn AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am this season, his worst finish is T25. So 12 72-hole events he's played. He's placed top 25 in all of them, all 12. He's also placed top 10 in 75% of those 12 events. So 9 events he's been in the top 10. And then 50% of those, so in 6 of those, he's been top 5. So again, you pencil him in here, you're playing 11-9, getting a little bit of an ownership discount from a Scotty Scheffler. But man, this guy's a guaranteed top 5, top 10 at this point as things roll around.
Yeah, there's really no weakness whatsoever when it comes to Xander. Like, the worst part of his game is probably his driving accuracy, and he's still well above tour average there. It's one of those that he's just such a well-rounded golfer that he's going to pop at every course we play, and he's always a great option no matter what. But specifically with Scotty eating up most of the ownership here, I love turning to Xander here as well.
That was definitely my argument. So let's just roll directly here, the $9,000 price range. I'm going to go with a guy that I typically do not, and I steer quite a bit away from, and that's Ludwig Aberg, right? 9.5, again, for someone who hasn't won on tour and hasn't been that amazing. I mean, he's been really good, but not crazy good. 9.5 is it's a weird number to be at for Albert just because the name value alone. But if there was a time to play him, I think it's now, right? His last outing, a miscut at the PGA Championship when everyone and their brother was all over him. But man, you look beyond that. He had his worst. So beyond his outing the PGA Championship, missed the cut. His worst finish in a run of 8 events leading up into that event was a T25, right? So he placed T10th in his last outing at the signature event at the RPC Heritage, solo second at the Masters, T14th Valero, eighth the Players, T25 API, T19 the Genesis, and second at 18 TiVo each pro-am. So he's doing this at elevated events. He's hanging with the big guns. He's kind of living up to the hype in a way outside of a victory. I'm just hoping the ownership isn't absolutely crazy because again, what does Auberg do? He hits the ball super far, but it's also super straight. It's a unique combination where he's able to do a bit like a Rory McIlroy, maybe not to the exact length of Rory, but that's what Rory does, and that's what Rory has set himself apart from the rest of the tour. And doing so is not only crushing the ball further than anyone, is hitting it pretty much as straight as anyone. Auberg's in the same category, so I do love the added length that comes with a quality accuracy as well for Auberg. And of course, we know the rest of his game there. He's a competent iron player. He can get hot with the putter. He does everything rather well. Around the green game could be better, but that's neither here nor there. When you have the plus distance he brings to the table, I'm just hoping that the ownership isn't absolutely crazy. And fresh off a miscut in his last outing, I think this is an okay place to play him, especially here. Limited field, 72 guys. Everyone's going to have a high ownership just because the disparity there between golfers is rather limited.
Yeah, at the PGA Championship, there was rumor that he had some sort of knee injury. He missed the cut there. Everyone's waiting for a status update on him for this week. I've been checking Twitter pretty religiously because I have his name circled with a bunch of question marks. So it's one of those that if he plays, I'm assuming he's healthy, and I think he's a great option here at a bit of a discounted ownership, like you said, because of that missed cut. But also set your alarm 5 minutes before tee off this week because there's a good chance that if that knee injury is lingering, similar to Hideki, he's going to withdraw 5 minutes before tee time, and you got to come up with a replacement there. So if
That's
he's
also
playing,
been 2.5 weeks now too. So
right.
if that knee injury again could help with the ownership number because people are scared off of it, but man, 2.5 weeks is a very long time, especially with the access to medical professionals that someone like Ludwig Auberg would have. 2.5 weeks is a lifetime.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it's one of those that just set your alarm, make sure that he's playing, or make sure you have time to adjust your lineups if you are playing him. But I will be, if he is, teeing it up this week, I will be on him. Just because I think some people are going to be lazy and not play him just because of that lingering, oh, he might not play kind of deal. But he's obviously one of the more talented golfers on the PGA Tour, and this is a great spot for him. In this range, I don't really like anyone, if we're being completely honest. I like the 10K range. I like the 8K range. But if I had to pick someone in here, it's going to be a little chalky. But I'm going to start a couple of my lineups, skipping the 10K range and going straight to Collin Morikawa at 9,800. Yes. The lead-in form here is absolutely incredible, right? I think he has 4 top 10 finishes in his last 6 starts, 2 of which were his last 2 starts. He had a solo 4th at the Charles Schwab, a T4 at the PGA Championship, playing overall great. Where does he tend to struggle? It's the distance off the tee, but it's generally around tour average, maybe slightly less. He is deathly accurate off the tee, which we said is super important this week. The approach is elite, and the short game is good. It really just depends on the putter for Morikawa. We know he has the caliber of talent to win on the PGA Tour and win big events. He's won at Murrayfield Village in 2020. To add to that, and back in 2021, he had a solo second-place finish at the Memorial. His last 2 starts here, not so great. He withdrew in 2023 and missed the cut in 2022, but I still like the form that he's coming in with, and having won at this, at this course before, I think he's a great option to start your lineups with. I wouldn't go with like a Scheffler, Morikawa, then punt lineup. I would for sure just start with Morikawa and diversify from there going forward.
No, definitely. I'm all over Collin Morikawa this week. He's on my betting card. He's leading my betting card this week. You mentioned the run of form leading into this week is absolutely insane, and it just seems like it's the next progression of the PGA Tour is a Collin Morikawa victory, right? We got Xander across the finish line. Next is going to be Collin Morikawa. He's right there with those guys. He very well could be. I don't know, because the putter can be really bad. I mean, he had a chance to win the PGA Championship, and everything outside the putter was there. I mean, elite, his irons looked as good as they have in a very long time. You mentioned the accuracy, and even a PGA Championship that required some distance. I mean, he was right there with him, and it wasn't like he was leaving himself massive putts. He was missing short putts. He was just
Right.
that's Colin Morikawa. His putter can go ice cold. Like when it's cold, it's awful,
Yeah.
right? But again, he can have a decent one, and that's why hope can happen this week. And with the run of form he's in recently, he's right there. He's knocking the door, so we can only hope that it gets across that finish line shortly. But yeah, right there with you. I would love to start some lineups with Colin Morikawa, get some ownership, get some pack your middle of your lineup more because I mean, in this limited field, your $6,000 price range or even your 7,000 isn't the best, right? So if you're gonna find quality guys, you got to pack some guys up top. You can stack two guys here in the nines and have yourself a quality lineup. So rolling directly here into the $8,000 price range. I know you mentioned there was some joy you have here in this price range. So who's your play here?
It's actually the next two price ranges I'm really excited for, but this one should come as no surprise to anyone. I'm turning to Max Homa at 8,700 here. The ownership might be a little high. The lead in form was horrible. Like if you watched him at the Chuck Schwab for even one shot, everything was a disaster. Like the putting was atrocious, completely uncharacteristic. The approach was garbage, completely uncharacteristic. The off the tee was an absolute disaster. There was no hope for Max Homa, but I'm kind of going off the narrative that after a major championship, Max uses all of his energy and kind of just craps out the tournament after. So I'm going to block out the Charles Schwab. And if you look at his run of form before that, it's really been solid, right? He had a T3 at the Masters not too long ago. He had a T8 at the Wells Fargo, T35 at the PGA Championship, which was a little bit of a disappointment, but also not a terrible finish. He made the cut and had a solid finish. When you think of Max Homa, he has a super well-rounded game, above tour average in driving distance, accuracy, approach around the green, and putting. He has a great short game, which is super important. And when those irons get clicking, that's when Max Homa plays his best golf. In his last two appearances here in 2022 and 2021, he has a T6 and a T5. The course history is there. I'm going to bank on just throwing out the Charles Schwab and that he's actually playing some good golf and confident in himself. 8,700 feels like a steal. Also, 55 to 1 in the outright market feels like an absolute steal because if he was in any sort of form, I'd expect him in the mid 20 to 1 outright market and also in the high 9K range. So to get him in the 8Ks this week, to me, is worth a shot.
Yeah, this is definitely a value play, right? You're getting a you know top tier, I guess you could say, talent on the PGA Tour in the $8,000 price range, and you mentioned it. I mean, the form coming in isn't anything to write home about. I mean, it is rather bad, but you mentioned it directly after a major is some of the worst golf Max Homa plays. So get that out of the way there for you right quick. And we'll see what comes of it. And I do like the value and everything that comes with Max Homa. Again, you mentioned the uncharacteristic poor putting. That's what Max Homa has made a career of, right? Is being an elite putter on the PGA Tour. So we'll see if that comes back around this week for him. But for myself, man, I'm gonna go with this narrative of bounce back type of guys myself. I'm gonna roll here with Alex Noren at 8-1. No, I don't think Alex Noren's gonna go out here and win this golf tournament. He's not on my outright card to do so. But what Alex Noren does better than almost anyone else, although he did miss the cut in his last outing, was make the cut. I mean, he's done this repetitively all season long, and then he goes at the RPC Heritage and misses the cut. Same like Siwoo with the PGA. hoping Alex Noren gets back into the ways of Alex Noren, grinds it out. A top 20, top 15 to go along here, long way, excuse me, for 8-1. And I'm expecting his ownership to be a little bit better because of a miscut last week.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Nate? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry. We'll cut that. All right, back into it. So Alex Noren, I think, is a great option. I think I cut out for a little bit, so I didn't hear your total explanation, but he missed the cut last week, like you said, and has been in great form all season. A very well-rounded golfer, can find the fairway and has an elite short game. So I think his game matches up really well here at Murrayfield Village.
Yeah, very much so. And yeah, for those video watchers of what just happened there, I don't know how to edit videos, so you're gonna have to deal with that on the video aspect. But yeah, use it as like a commercial break or something and figure that out. But yeah, back to the DFS play, 7K price range moving forward. And this is a price range here, the 7K price range that I could probably talk about 10 guys. There's a lot of value here in this price range, and I'm gonna lead the way with give me Siwoo Kim, right? There's a guy like Shane Lowry who I like more in an outright market, but I think Siwoo Kim again is just a great DFS play each and every week. He's going to come out with a quality performance, and the knock to Siwoo Kim, right, is the putter. He consistently loses strokes each and every week, but in doing so, he's still putting together great finishes. He doesn't miss cuts, although again, PGA Tour Championship he did miss the cut, but on the season he has 9 top 25s and losing strokes almost every single week. And I've talked about it. The greens here are they're fast, they're tricky, they're small, but they don't take a crazy putting week to win here at Muirfield. What it does take, confident around the greens, finding the fairways, strong iron play, and that's what Siwoo Kim does. So I'm a big fan of him this week. I mean, he's had some great finishes this season. The Players Championship, between the Players Championship and the Wells Fargo Championship, worst finish, or outside of a T30th at the Masters, his worst finish was a T18th. So T18th are better in a stretch of events there. T6 the Players, T17 the Texas Turn Houston Open, T18 the RPC Heritage, T13 at the CJ Cup Iron Nelson, T16 the Wells Fargo. Again, it's not like he's littering top fives, but again, you're looking at a guy here in the $7,000 price range who can very consistently get you a top 15 and at a course that I think he has a legitimate chance of winning. This is a course that suits his game rather well. He is on my outright card. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, I absolutely love him. Some good form here. He placed fourth here last year, T13th in 2022, T9th in 2021, T18th in 2020, and T41st in 2019. So 5 straight made cuts here, a few top 10s, a top 5, multiple top 15s, multiple top 20s. So again, course history, everything lines up for a good Siwoo Kim week this week.
Yeah, I was going to mention the course history. It's honestly been stellar the last 4 years. And, why not turn to Siwoo here? The putter has been ice cold the last 3 weeks, losing over a stroke per round. But I'm willing to throw that out, right? Small greens, a lot of people are going to be playing from around the green. The putting isn't going to be quintessential. So I'm happy to turn to Siwoo here. I really like that call out. And he's, circled to be played in a couple of mine. But a guy that I know that not a lot of people are circling that I'm happy to turn to here, and yes, you're going to hear me correctly, is Rickie Fowler at 7,000 flat. My God, has it been a really disappointing season for Rickie Fowler? His best finish on the season is a T18 at the RBC Heritage. But just hear me out. 72-man field. I think top 50 make the cut or within 10 strokes of the leaders. So a lot of people are going to make the cut. I'm not necessarily cramming some of these top 8K, low 9K guys into my lineups that I think have a chance of, blowing up and missing the cut. Rickie Fowler's only missed the cut 3 times in 14 appearances this year. So it might not be the results there, but he is making cuts and playing pretty average golf, I would say. But the course history here is what sold me on Rickie. Over the last, I think, 8 or 9 years, he has a bunch of really good finishes. He has 3 top 10 finishes here, 2 top 15 finishes, and 1 top 25 finish. So it might just be something about Muirfield that fits his eye really well, but I think he's going to have his best finish of the season, a T15, a top 20, in my eyes. I'm not going to say for sure because that could bite me in the butt going on, but I'm happy to play him at a super low ownership and try to take some chances here to get a unique lineup in a limited field event.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Limited field events, some golfers, you have to get unique with it. You can't just, even playing guys at like 10% owned with your big guns who are going to be 30, 40% owned, it's going to make for a very difficult time to find some unique lineups this week. So playing someone like Ricky Fowler with a great course history here, along with a rather low ownership, is a great way to go with things. And yeah, I may have to look into that myself to find some disparity along the way. But one final price range this week, we can really find some disparity down here, and I'm sure the guy I'm going with will be a rather low owned guy. But who's your play here in the 6,900 and below price range?
Yeah, I am going to the absolute rock bottom 6K mark. I'm going with Jackson Koivin at 6,000. He's the only amateur to make the field, and he's qualified for this event by winning the 2024 Arnold or the 2024 Jack Nicklaus Award. He plays college golf at Auburn. He's the number 4 ranked amateur, and like same exact argument I gave for Ricky Fowler, there's only a handful of guys who are missing the cut this week. So I'm willing to take my chances and dig super low at the bottom of the 6K range to pair up with the Scotty Scheffler or Xander Schauffele, some of those higher owned guys, to try to diversify lineups with them and just make the cut, right? In his 9 collegiate events this season, his worst finish is a 5th, and he has 2 wins, one of which is the SEC Championship, which is a big tournament in college. So I think that he has a pretty bright future ahead of him in professional golf. At 6K flat, I'm willing to take the chance of just making the cut. That's all I'm asking. If he can make the cut, I can pair him with some higher owned guys and get super lucky and have a unique lineup.
And that's it. I'm not going to go here and argue that I know, how his game lines up, what his favorite clubs are, things like that. I'm not going to do that. But I also didn't know that, I remember when I was researching this field, I saw his name in there. I was like, how did this guy get into an elevated event, signature event field? Like, this doesn't add up. Didn't really look into it. I thought in the back of my head and kind of move forward with things. So it doesn't make sense that he won the Jack Nicklaus Award and doing so, getting a chance here to play with, the world's best. That's pretty cool. But yeah, again, low ownership for sure. No doubt about that. And it allows you to get creative. But you mentioned it, man. Very few people are going to miss the cut. Like, 50 and then within 10 strokes of the lead. And you mentioned it. I mean, the lead's going to be at the cut line, what, -4, -5, ideally. So if you're +5 at that point, which again is a very difficult golf course, don't get me wrong, but I mean, at this point, you should be within 5. Like, this is a course that getting birdies is going to be difficult to do. So I think it's a very strong chance that he gets in that top 50 and within 10 strokes of the lead. And like you said, you get a $6,000 guy across that cut line, you're in line for a good week, especially this week, limited field.
Yep.
But I'm going to turn my attention here to none other than Andrew Putnam at 6,500. Kind of a bit of my favorite guy when looking for value play in the 6,000 price range, right? It just seems like I talk about Putnam quite often, but what he does is he avoids bogeys. I mean, he's 5th on tour there, 15th in hit fairway percentage. He's 17th in scrambling, 20th in putting on bent grass, 47th in green regulations. He's 49th around the green sand saves, above average in approach, scrambling from the rough. I mean, if there's anything you can really, about, it's, strokes gained off the tee. That's because he lacks any form of distance. And, he's 150th in par 5 average scoring. Again, something I'm not super excited about, but that has a lot to do with the lack of distance. And at this course, again, distance is a very positive, but if on these par 5s, you're finding the fairway, you're setting yourself up rather good. I mean, he putts are better than almost anyone on bent grass, and overall the PGA Tour. That's really what it makes his name, doing his putting really well. And he also placed T5 here last year, T17th in 2019. So some good recent performances here. Although he's also fresh off a missed cut. So again, help him with the ownership number. Although I don't think we're, trying to scramble to save ourselves a few percentages on Putnam, right? But he's played well at these signature events this season. He placed T8th in the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Again, a golf course that is not super difficult, but again, a course that doesn't necessarily fit what you think Andrew Putnam does. And he finished very well there. He also placed T18th of the RPC Heritage, T29th at the Wells Fargo Championship. So, I mean, in his last 3 outings at some of these signature events, he's playing rather well. again, 6,500 to get him across the cut line. And he's proven that he's to hang with the big guns at these big events and get yourself in the top 30, top 25. You're in the top 25 on a put on at 6,500. You're doing yourself a favor right out the gate.
Yeah, pretty much you nailed it on the head. Like, his ceiling is a top 5 finish, which is great coming from a mid 6K range guy. The floor is obviously low, like every other one of these 6K guys, especially coming off a miscut at the Charles Schwab. But I'm throwing out the Charles Schwab for Max Homa, so you could throw out the Charles Schwab for Andrew Putnam here. He's shown the ability to play really good golf and compete, like you said. So I like the call out. The T5 finish here last year is icing on the cake. Really good call out, in my opinion. I think I'm going to stick him in a few lineups and see if he can get the job done.
There we go. All right. Done with DFS. Let's move on to our betting card this week. Of course, we have 3 categories to talk about. We have our overall favorite. We've placed one bet this week. Who would it be and why? Personal favorite, maybe someone we're on the community's out on. Maybe just a personal favorite value or a personal favorite golfer. Then, of course, long shot, simple, right? Longest odds you're on. Jake, one bet to place this week. Who is it and why?
Yeah, for me, it was Max Homa. My first click, 55-1. I just think that is a crazy number on a super talented golfer who's played some really, really good golf and showed that he could be composed at the Masters not too long ago. Very well-rounded game. I think that he has the ability to win here at Muirfield. And honestly, I'm in love with the number. So that's what I went with.
There we go. I could go really boring and go Collin Morikawa here at 16-1. But I'm going to go with actually Patrick Cantlay at 28-1. Again, it's been a bad year for Patrick Cantlay, right? I mean, he had that huge lead at the Genesis going to the weekend, blew that, and really has not been really contention. But when it comes to Muirfield Village, in this field, he is arguably the best golfer at this golf course that is golfing this week. We take a look back at what he's done. 2-time champion here, 2021 and 2019. He also placed T3rd here in 2022. And in his last signature event outing, he placed T3rd at the RPC Heritage as well. T4th at Genesis Invitational this season, T11th at AT Pebble Beach Pro Am. I mean, we're accustomed to Patrick Cantlay competing for victories, right? I mean, it's been a while since he's won on the PGA Tour, but he's won 8 times doing so. It's a long time coming. If there's a way for him to get his season on the right track and get himself where he needs to be, it's Muirfield, because he plays his course rather well. This is a stretch of events coming up that he plays rather well. Maybe not U.S. Open, but Travelers Championship as well. He's known to have multitude of success there. So now's the time of the season to get himself going with Muirfield and Travelers coming right around the corner. The number isn't super ideal because of the form he's in, right? But man, when you look at the course history and what's been slacking for Patrick Cantlay this season, it's been his iron play. And usually that's his strong suit. That'll come around. That is going to happen at some point. Those irons are going to find itself out. Well, it's super promising. The rest of the game is still to the level he used to play. His putting still quality, his around the greens. He's just one of those guys that's a super well-rounded golfer. He does a lot of things well, but what he does the best is his iron play. So once that does make that click, and once that does get going, he's going to be competing for victories. I think this week could do it. And 20-1, man, for a guy who, within the last 5 years has 2 victories and and 3 top threes in the last 5 years, I think that was a smash in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that call out. It's all dependent on the irons for him. And I thought about it. I'm still thinking about it. It feels like a little bit of a call the shot, right? Like if the irons are clicking this week, he very much will be in contention. It feels like he might need another round or 2 in my head to get those irons fully clicking. I do love him as an early Travelers pick if he does get those irons hot.
Yeah, like I said, these are courses that he is well versed at. So moving on to our personal favorite this week. Outside of maybe a Willie Z, bet that's always out there, and in my opinion, a Tom Kim who gave me a bit of excitement, early on Sunday. Early on in the sense of coverage, but he got within 2 at one point, and man, he was throwing some absolute darts at the RPC Canadian Open on that final round. He was just, and then that bogey really took him out of it. I think it was 12 or 13, but man, he gave me some run for it. But outside of those usual bets that I know that I'm not gonna be honest with you guys, I play Tom Kim almost every single week. I don't advertise every single week if it doesn't fit, he doesn't pop my models, but he's always there. But outside of those guys, I know you have your Sahith Thegalas and the Will Zalatoris of the world, but and you missed out. Your boy Bobby Mack got it
Oh,
done
don't
last
get me
week, and
started.
you
I was
you
so
didn't get a
pissed
chance to
because
join in that.
my flight was delayed on Tuesday when I was coming back, like 8 hours. I couldn't do any research, and I just said, you know what? I'm going with Tagala because I like him, and Burns was a gut shot feeling. If I had maybe put 30 more seconds into running my model and thinking about it, Bobby Mack I would have been like, oh, he's in the field. I'm just going to play him because I played him the last 6 weeks or whatever it was. Really painful that I wasn't on him, but super happy for him. Very well deserved win. I hope he does it again soon because I'm going to be on him again.
Really cool. They do it with his dad on the bag too.
Yeah. No, that was
But
awesome.
yeah,
But
back to the premise of what we're talking about. Who is your play in this price range?
yeah, actually, funny you bring it up. So I only have 2 bets in, and it's going to be Max Homa and then my long shot. So I am thinking about putting this player in, and it is Tom Kim. So 55 to 1 still. I mean, he lacks a
That's where
little
I have him.
distance off the tee, but super accurate. Like you said, he was throwing darts on Sunday. So the approach is rounding out into form. The putting is getting there too, gaining just under a stroke per round. Like everything is clicking. He's a 3-time PGA Tour winner. He has the ability and the skill set to win at Muirfield Village. I think it's more than fair number, 55 to 1 in the form that we saw from him, is, all of last week, but specifically on Sunday when he shot a 64. I think Tom Kim is rounding out form and is going to play really, really well this week. So I think I just talked myself into 55 to 1, but yeah, that's where I'm
Yeah,
going.
that's where I have him at. But he is currently Tom Kim, 39th on tour in strokes gained putting on bent grass. That's insane to think about because I mean,
Right.
historically speaking, a rather poor putter and doing so on a very quality or difficult grass put on a bent grass. So, yes, I will fully endorse any Tom Kim bet at any point of any golf tournament. But my favorite value here this week is Shane Lowry at 66 to 1. I was really surprised I didn't see him bet more. Early on, I didn't see him on a lot of people's cards, but he didn't, fully make his way around. But yeah, I think it's one of those weeks, right? Shane Lowry has the ability to, like we saw at the PGA Championship in that final round, to just go or on Saturday, just to go absolute nuclear out of absolute nowhere.
Yep.
Like the guy would be absolutely unheard of, like 70th, and next thing you know, he is on the leaderboard in the bottom right hand of your screen. Like, how did this happen? And that's what Shane Lowry's done for his entire career outside of winning the Open, right? But man, he has some decent history here. He placed T16th last year, T32 in 2022, and T6 in 2021. Very accurate this season, T9th hitting the fairways. The approach is phenomenal. He's T11th in strokes gained approach this season, 21st in proximate hole for 175 to 200, 25th in green regulations, 38th off the tee, 48th in scrambling for the rough. Putting quality on bent grass, it's not really Lowry's strong suit, right? Is the putter, but 59th in strokes gained putting on bent grass. Does well in the par fives, okay around the greens. I mean, you're checking a lot of things here, and he's made the cut in 11 straight events coming in this week. T6 at the PGA Championship recently. We talked about that. Won the Zurich Classic. I know it's a team event, but still a victory in the win column can go a long way for anyone. And, also T4 to the Cognizant Classic. Again, a rather difficult golf course that may kind of play like Muirfield, just those second shot approach type of courses, and also a third place at the API this season. 66 to 1 with a guy with decent course history, elite with his approach, putting quality, and having some decent form, and has the ability to go absolutely nuclear out of nowhere. I just love the value of 66 to 1, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, for all the reasons that you said, I really like Lowry. I think I might add him in my card. Yeah, just playing some super good golf. I'm pretty sure I played him at the API. Where you want to play Shane Lowry is the super difficult golf courses. You're not
Yeah.
going to have Lowry win like a birdie fest. So having a single digit winner just adds to his case here, playing some really good golf. I really like that call out.
And the winds are supposed to be pretty vicious this week, at least according to the forecast, which would help, and play into Lowry's game there. But one last thing to talk about, the long shot this week. You mentioned you only had 2 guys in your card. Who is that long shot?
Yeah, another kind of gross pick, but I really, for some reason, talked myself into him. It's Justin Rose at 130 to 1. He won back in 2010, I believe, here. He has
Yep.
9 top 15 finishes and 15 appearances at Muirfield. So plays some really good golf here, and it's just a super well-rounded golfer. Finds himself in the fairway a lot, can get those irons going and the putter going as well. I'm taking my shot at 130 to 1. Do I necessarily think he has a lock to win or a lock to play super well? No. I wouldn't be surprised to see him win. I also wouldn't be surprised to see him as one of the 10 or 20 guys who misses the cut. So taking my shot here for, 131. So why not?
I mean, in this field, to find someone 100 plus is rather difficult to begin with. But man, the guy won here at some point. It's not like he's playing horrible golf. He won at Pebble Beach what is it, a year ago now at this point. So not a bad choice. I mean, probably better than my Andrew Putnam in this category at 180 to 1, right? I talked about him already. At least he had a top 5 here last year. So it's not completely out of the picture. But yeah, that's my long shot this week, 180 to 1 for Andrew Putnam. So anything else here, Jake, about Muirfield Village, about the memorial, anything before we move forward?
Nope, I think we covered it.
All right. And on the DP World Tour side of things, we have one of those unique tournaments, the Volvo Car Scandinavian Mixed. I won't go crazy in depth about it because it's a tournament not many people bet about, but we'll at least highlight it here and go over a few picks if you have any, Jake. I have a few on tap myself.
Yep.
But yeah, let me get that loaded up because I dropped my phone. I'm a professional. I do this every week. I feel like I drop my phone every week. I get to this point in the podcast where I start scrambling to load to the next tournament, and then I'm dropping my phone, acting a fool. But yeah. So the Volvo Car Scandinavian Open. This is the 4th year in existence and the first time it is being held at the. Excuse me, in trying to say this. It is the the golf club. I don't know that. I mean, I think that's exactly how you say it, right? But yeah, I mean, at least in my opinion, my Swedish is pretty poor, I assume. But yeah, the one of a kind event sees 78 men, 78 women teed it up at the same time, the same course, for the same prize and the same trophy. Of course, men play for the men tees, women for the women tees. That goes without saying because, I mean, how fair would it be if the women had to play for the men's tees? So the co-sanctioned event between the DP World Tour and the Ladies European Tour, hosted by Swedish golf heroes Henrik Stenson and Annika Sorenstam, held at the golf club in Helsingborg, Sweden for the very first time. In the 3 planes, we've seen 2 men. We saw Dale Whitnell last year, and we saw Jonathan Caldwell in 2021, and 1 woman with this event, Lynn Grant, in 2022. Lynn Grant's back to headline the women's side of things, of course, in her homeland of Sweden. She is a 5-time LET winner and previous winner of this event, but also home favorite, of course. Current Order of Merit leader Bronte Law joins Grant on the ladies' side, as well as LPGA standout and Solheim Cup member Madeline Sagstrom. Other notable females in this week's field include Jana Gustafsson and 5-time Solheim Cup winner Caroline Hadwell. For the men, recent Sudal Open champion Nacho Elvire is back in action, joining him defending champion Whitnell of this event. Swede Sebastian Soderberg, Jesper Svensson, and Alex Bjork lead the home contingent looking to win on home soil. Some other notable names we have this week is Rasmus Højgaard, Alex Fitzpatrick, Antoine Rosner, Nicholas Norgard, Adrian Otagwe, and Yannick Paul. So I didn't find a ton about this golf course. Of course, it's rather new. First time being played. It was played like way back when in the 80s or something like that when it was first, established on the European side of things. But par 72 at 7,295 yards for the men. The 2 championship courses here at the Vastraps Golf Club have previously hosted tournaments on both the men's and women's side of the European Tour. The original course was built by Ulf Waterstrom and opened in 1974. After a bit of a down era for this golf club, in an effort to host more European Tour events, a new 18-hole tournament course designed by American Steve Forrest was unveiled in 2008. Although new, the newer tournament course consists of 9 remodeled holes and 9 original holes at Vasatorps. Through all the efforts, this course is now deemed one of the best golf courses in all of Sweden. Two of them featured holes this week are the 8th and 13th. The par 4 8th is routed towards a two-tiered green positioned at the end of a lake. The lake runs the full length of a fairway. The par 4 13th features a double dog leg with water on the entire right side of the fairway. From there, the left side of the green is also guarded by water. So rather interesting layout this week. Again, not much to be known about this golf course. Did a few, one of those like drone shot videos I watched and did a little bit of research, but there isn't a ton out there on that. So, Jake, anything else you came across in your research or anything about this golf course or event before we move forward?
No, I've relied on you for it, so I don't
Uh-oh.
have much information on it, but I just took two players this week, took two shots on guys playing some good golf, and just to have some action.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of how I went with it. I'll leave that off here since I have four people. Sebastian Soderberg, 18-1. Just recent form's been absolutely insane. I know he took a break
Yeah.
there to go to the PGA Championship where he made the cut, which in itself with a DP World Tour, uh, you know, established player coming over to the states and making the cut in a major is a victory in itself. But I mean, on the tour, he's first in birdie or better percentage, fourth in approach, seventh in tee to green. So just some stats, 25th in putting as well. Again, that's what you're looking for. A quality tee to green guy who can get his birdies in a hurry and is quality on the approach. Again, last saw him on the PGA Championship, but prior to that, T3rd of the Volvo China Open, second the ISPS Honda Championship, and T2nd of the Hero Indian Open. Also T6th of Bahrain, T9th at Ras Al Khaimah, T3rd of the Asia Bank Marathas Open on the season. Again, hasn't won on the DP World Tour since like 2019. So what better time? I mean, he's playing some great golf, probably overall some of the best golf the entire tour, yet just lacking that victory. Hasn't been able to, get over, I want to say Sunday yips, but just getting it done on a Sunday. So what better time when you're playing some of the best golf of your career to do so in an event like this? Not saying this is I mean, there's still some big names. This is still a quality field for an event like this, but it's still not a full field 156 golfer DP World Tour event. So what time better than on home soil hill for Soderberg? I feel like 18-1 slightly a discount for him, especially being on home soil, playing the way he is, and with this field.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, he's playing some of the best golf on the DP World Tour, like you said. And, the Hero Indian Open and the ISPS Honda, he didn't necessarily like punt it away on Sunday. He kind of just got beat by some players who went nuclear. On the Volvo China, that's up for grabs. I mean, he didn't really have a great weekend, but I mean, playing some great golf, hometown hero, he'd be a great story win here. So I like that call.
All right. So who's your first play?
Yep, my first play is going to be Nicholas Norgard Moeller at 25-1. So just playing some awesome golf, Soudal Open T2, European Open T4, absolutely nukes the ball off the tee. I think he's one of the longest players on the DP World Tour.
Yep.
But what I saw over the last 2 weeks was he gained a stroke per round at the Soudal Open with the irons. He gained just under a stroke per round at the European Open with the putter. So if he kind of connects all those dots together, he's primed up for a win, and the current form says so. So
Yeah, he's the one who gave me a scare in getting to Nacho Elvira at the Pseudo Open because he went like -5 through three holes in the back to
yeah,
at one point tie Nacho at the top of the leaderboard, and yeah, he had a chance to hit a somewhat that wasn't that crazy of a putt to make a putt to tie the lead and force into a playoff, but he ended up missing that putt. That's what gave Nacho the victory. But yeah, I mean, playing some insane golf, especially he comes with spurts. That's his thing, right?
yeah.
Like that example there. He can get -5 in three holes, but then can be stagnant for 2.5 rounds. There's really no in between with him. So you're just hoping that he can finally put something together where he can put some of these explosive outings in consecutive order to really propel himself up with some leaderboards. But man, like you said, he crushes off the tee and he's gaining with the irons, which is promising to see. He's still on the younger side, so I think a victory is coming for him sooner rather than later. It just I don't know if it's necessarily here yet, but like you said, man, the guy could definitely pour him in with the best of them.
Yep.
So rolling on here, I'm going to American Johansson Veerman at 30-1. Again, I kind of took this more so going towards the hot hand on the DP World Tour. And that's kind of the way I know you mentioned it in past. This is kind of how you construct your DP cards because, I mean, they're traveling to different countries, playing some of the most unique golf courses in the world. It's hard to take the stats into, into full force first, right? You don't want to just run a stat model and blindly go off that. So, I mean, Bierman has quietly, I don't know about quietly, but he has been one of the hottest guys on the TP World Tour. T8th in his last out of the European Open, also T8th Volvo China Open, T2nd the Hero Indian Open. He is 11th on tour and approach, 16th at bogey avoidance, 18th birdie or better, 25th tee to green. Just like we talked about with Nicholas Norgard there. I mean, he's putting up quality performances back to back to back, knocking on the door, 30-1 in a field like this. Again, I've been on the guy for a while now, so kind of maybe a little bit of FOMO here, but man, I just absolutely some value here, Vermin at 30-1.
Yep, that was my second play too. Because like you said, I'm a big current form guy in the DP World Tour. He went absolutely nuclear on approach at the European Open, so I love to see that if the putter cooperates, which it hasn't in the past weeks, even with those great results. So even if he can get that putter to even or slightly positive, he's going to be in line for another great finish, if not a win. So again, I'm taking my chances. I got him at 28-1. Obviously, I endorsed the 30 if you can still get it, but great option here this week.
There we go. So I have two more plays. I guess I'll just rattle them off rather quick. So I couldn't go into this week without having at least one woman on the betting card just because of the unique aspect of this event. So I opted to go off the top with Lynn Grant and then Law there. I went with Madeline Sogstrom. I know it's a bit difficult because she just played at the U.S. Women's Open in Lancaster, Pennsylvania this past weekend. So flying back to Sweden and then playing a full round of golf is a difficult thing to do, and usually something I steer away from. But I think at 40-1 for someone like Sagstrom, who is she's a star in her own right on the PGA Tour. I bet her at the LPGA U.S. Women's Open recently, and I mean that was, if you guys got a chance to tune in this week for the U.S. Women's Open, it was. You want to talk about carnage. I mean, you had the world number one who, if you're not a follower of the women's game, takes Scotty Scheffler ×2. And that's what Nelly Korda has been doing this season. And she shot a +10 opening round. She had a 10 on one hole on a par 3 this week at this golf course. I mean, there were professional women at a major shooting 28 over at this golf course. It was absolutely insane what was going on. And I ended up making hay here on my farm, and then we made some plans with me and my kids on Sunday to go to WWE. I wanted to get a chance to go down there and watch it because Lancaster isn't too far away from me. I really wish I could have made it happen, but man, it was absolutely carnage. But what was I going with that was Sagstrom. She played in that event, made the cut, but I mean nothing beyond that. But again, making the cut at that event was a victory in itself, as we talked about with Soderberg earlier on. Had some great performances on the LPGA, second at the Cognizant Founders, T8th at JM Eagle LA Championship. She is also long off the tee with the ability to compile birdies in a hurry. She ranks 4th on the LPGA in birdies or better, or birdies, 6th in eagles. She's also 5th in average driving distance and 21st in grid regulation percentage. So she's rather long on the LPGA, so she's super long for the LET. And just kind of one of those bets I just wanted to play some action on one of the women's in this unique event in case it did happen. My final play, my quote unquote long shots, Andy Sullivan at 66-1, just a well-rounded golfer who does pretty much everything you can ask for. I mean, again, T34th in his last outing of the European Open, nothing crazy, but he did have a stretch back in March where he placed 4th at the Porsche Singapore Classic, T23rd at the Johnson Workwear Open, and T4th of the SDC Championship. So he has the ability to do this, but again, I didn't have the ability to go super long here because once you get past like the Andy Sullivan, you're getting into guys that have no win equity whatsoever, and then you have the bottom tier of the LET, which again don't really have any win equity either way. But I mean, we've seen some pretty odd names win here. Dan Whitnell winning last season was kind of out of the ordinary. I mean, Lane Grant, of course, was a chalk one there, but yeah, a very unique format. I'm not sure how you feel about this, or I would like to see. I think it would be a more fair comparison if it were to be like the DP World Tour and like the LPGA, teaming up opposed to the European Tour and the LET. But yeah, I love the concept. I think it does wonders to bring viewership and some knowledge to the women's game, which I've been an advocate for with my LPGA. I wish I had more time to do the LPGA each every week because I do enjoy watching them and how they play the game of golf. But yeah, I don't know how you feel about the event as a whole here, Jake.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I kind of hope that they would do more of this maybe during the swing seasons so that we can get some of the PGA Tour superstars there too. Because I know a lot of those guys support the LPGA game and would be more than happy to teed up there with some of the best, go head to head. I would love to see a Nelly Korda Scotty Scheffler showdown because the two of them are just playing some absolute awesome golf. But yeah, I think this is a super cool event. I hope that it gets more eyes so that they can make more events like this.
Yeah, what's the one in the swing season of the PGA it's not necessarily like this, but like they play together.
Is it the Grant Thornton?
I think it's Grant Thornton. I think that's one male, one female on a team playing a scramble essentially, or best ball, or alternating,
Yeah, it
whatever
is.
they do.
Yep.
But yeah, I'd like to see. Like you said, I'd like to see something like this where it's just simple stroke play, just men's tees, women's tees, and then playing like against each other. I think that's a really cool concept, and the DP World Tour is pretty advanced when it comes to these unique formats and unique tournaments to really draw in different viewerships and things like that. Like the way they do some of this stuff is really cool. So yeah, if you get a chance to tune in this week, it's a really fun event to follow along. And of course, U.S. Open next week, so that's going to be a good one down there at. Why am I blanking?
Let's see.
I literally had it. It's Pinehurst. It's Pinehurst. Um, so yeah, Pinehurst rolling up there. Then it's to the Travelers, which
Oh wait, I thought you were talking about the US. Wait, the women's US. Next week is the men's US Open?
yeah,
Holy crap. That completely escaped me. That wasn't even on my
yeah,
radar. Wow. Okay, cool.
yeah. Right? Am I right in saying
Yeah,
that? I'm
you are,
pretty
you
sure.
are.
Yeah,
June
U.S. and then it's
13th
the
to the
Travelers.
16th.
Yeah,
Crazy. Okay. Well, I guess we're
yeah.
gonna do
Dude, this.
breakfast ball if we can.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get. I know we said we'd do that for the PJ, but we'll get a breakfast ball here for the U.S. Open down there at Pinehurst. It's gonna be a fun one. I mean, Pinehurst is historic in its own right, and arguably one of my top 5 favorite major venues on the PGA Tour has in their regular rotation for sure. So excited about that one. Lots to talk about. So yeah, hopefully we get a breakfast ball. And again, if you're listening to this at this point, you didn't see our Masters edition. Essentially, we just load the leaderboard and just chat about it for however long it goes. So usually we'll probably get out probably Friday night, Saturday morning, somewhere around there, maybe Sunday. Depends whenever we get on here to do that. Uh, we'll see what we can make of that. But yeah, that's it for this week's podcast. Jake, where are you on social media?
Yep, you can find me at DJ Freeman. I'm about to post my article once we get off, so by the time you listen to this, it'll be on my Twitter. You can also find it on the We Know Fantasy website. My DFS guide and outright betting guide will be fully on there, but be sure to join the Discord. You can find the link in my article. I'll post my full betting card, my matchup card, everything that you need for the week in the Discord, completely free to join, 200 members. Great community we have going there. A lot of good discussion around different players and different betting strategies. So be sure to join if you're interested in that.
That's another thing you mentioned. Almost 200 people there. So we range from like pretty serious bettors to guys who just trickle in once in a while to ask a question about golf, some guys who are new to the game of golf, just a lot of different aspects of the world of golf betting there. So it's just a great place to be, and not only to talk to Jake and I, but everyone else in there, like you said, just well versed in different walks of life and how they address betting and all like that. So it's just a great place to be, and of course it's free, so why not give it a go at least for a couple minutes, see how you like it, and hopefully you stick around. But you can follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at WKFNate. Be sure to follow We Know Fantasy on all forms of social media at We Know Fantasy. Until next time, guys, we'll see you.
One day this will work.
Oh no.